I just talked to her. She said that basically this is just round one of the amendments, and they're still working on potentially adding in some of that other stuff. I also did ask her about, what discretionary authority your offices have, and it sounds like you do have a lot of flexibility in changing things around if you need to. So I guess my question then becomes, if this amendment passes and potentially the other two things that you've asked for do not pass, how would you change things within your office?
Well, certainly if this amendment passes, it's a movement in the right direction, and it certainly is helpful. And I really appreciate Commissioner Brim Edwards, standing up for public safety. But when it comes to what are my options, we are a department or an office that is over 80% of its personnel. So it's just going to have to be cuts somewhere. I try very hard to stay true to what, when a commissioner funds a particular position, I want to put that position forward. At the same time, I'm always going to be looking at what is the core of our work, what is the core service we're providing to the community.
So when it comes to the five things that had been on your list to add back in, which ones are the biggest priorities for you, and which ones would you be most likely to push for funding for?
Well, I mean, it's hard for me to even rank them because they're all so critical. I know we put the body-worn camera work up because it's a core function. And really, when we look at that, we can't even operate without that funding. We would have to just essentially make cuts elsewhere and then fund that particular position. But for us, the auto theft task force and the organized retail theft are really, I think, critical to the economic viability and just the overall health of the community. It's one that those ones are ones that we're looking at as top priorities. But certainly, the ones that Commissioner Brenham Edwards have put forward, those are also vital. I mean, like I said, it's very hard for me to say one is more important to the other, and these are just the hard decisions I'm making. I mean, I want a deputy in treatment courts. Of course, I want a deputy who's prosecuting domestic violence. These are critical issues for our community, and I'm doing everything I can to get the funding that is necessary to help keep this community safe.
So, I think when there was this discussion of they're choosing not to fund these specific task forces, it wasn't really clear that, of course, that is, your discretionary authority to decide where these cuts are made. How did you come up with a decision that this is where the cuts should be made initially?
Well, I mean, let's start with this and break it down a little bit. In that, the chair asked for a 3% reduction, and so I went through and looked at, and really it was making choices between do I cut a child abuse prosecutor, do I look at someone in our domestic violence unit, do I look at someone in our treatment court? These are all really tough decisions, and there's really no easy place to cut because we just don't have that kind of room in our budget. It was a surprise. This is the other part. It was a surprise when we lost funding for the auto theft task force and the organized retail theft. That was just simply funding that the chair did not renew. With that being said, I see a lot of opportunity for partnership with the commissioners, with the chair. I see these as still very viable, opportunities. These are really, they have an amazing impact on the community. The work that they do, handling thousands of cases, helping hundreds upon hundreds of victims. These are really programs that have very deliverable, results. And so it's something that I look forward to the partnership with the chair and with the other commissioners and seeing those funded as well.
So, Brett Edwards, in making these, adding this back into your budget, she's having to cut from somewhere, and where she's cutting from is vacant positions within other departments. Does your department have any vacant positions at this moment?
We are pretty full up at the moment. We had a few vacancies, but these are again ones that they aren't positions that we're going to be able to leave vacant. They're ones that we just, maybe someone just left. But really, we are kind of a very lean organization in which we don't run with a lot of vacant positions. We're not like really other offices around the state. We have attorneys that we keep kind of fully staffed, and I'll tell you that in looking at it, what I see when I came into office in January is that the volume of work, we are currently, really not funded to meet that volume of work. It's so massive, and there's such a need in our community, and there's such a desire for public safety that we need a lot more than what we're currently allocated.
So, I understand if you don't have these specific numbers right now, but could you send me how many vacant positions are open within your department and how long they've been open for?
Yeah, I mean, I can certainly try to get those. I know that we have just a couple that have been vacant for really just like a week. I mean, that's what we're talking about. So we're not talking about, there's not like these long-term ongoing ones. We are looking at all the time, how do we best use taxpayer dollars to deliver public safety to this community?
How confident are you that you will get all the items that you have asked for back into your budget?
I try to say I'm cautiously optimistic. Like I said, there's so many good opportunities for partnership with the chair, with the other county commissioners, and we're hearing from around the community this desire to really make public safety a priority. And I see this as a huge moment in time, an opportunity for the community as a whole. When we're at this crossroads, we are hearing it day in, day out. People want to see improvements in public safety. And I believe that message is going to resonate with our county commissioners and with our chair.
And then just back to my last question, if this amendment were to pass and the other ones for the retail task force and the car theft task force do not pass, will you take from this one to support the other one?
Um, I'll have to see where we end up, and I'll have to make some hard choices. I would certainly, since Commissioner Brim Edwards, is putting this amendment up, I would want to talk with her. This is certainly a huge support on her part. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it is my decision. But the ones that she's put forward are really mission critical positions. And when we're talking about how do we deliver the best public safety for this community, we need those, and we need those other positions as well.
Thanks so much for your time. Anything you would add that we didn't cover?
I would say that the only other thing is that, throughout the community, whether it's in the city or the county, the voices are really just resonating loud and clear that this community wants public safety, which is a core function of what our government does for us. They want it to be a priority, and now is the time to make it that priority.